welcome to Elements of Ayurveda, Empowering Wisdom of Life. I'm your host, Colette, and in this podcast, I hope to empower you to take charge of your own health by sharing the holistic teachings of Ayurveda, the ancient healing tradition from India. We will also discuss topics like health and wellness, nutrition, yoga, fitness, meditation, breath work, and much more, as well as interviewing lots of inspiring people along the way. My humble wish is to help you to connect to your true nature, to Mother Nature, and to each other. If you like the content, be sure to subscribe to the show, and the new episodes will automatically download for you to enjoy. If you're new to Ayurveda, I recommend you listen to the first couple of episodes where I do an introduction to Ayurveda and the mind-body types. I've also set up a Facebook group for us to connect and to support each other, and I'd love for you to join me over at Elements of Ayurveda podcast group. And now, here's the show. Hey, before we start the show, did you know that I'm hosting an Ayurveda and yoga retreat right here on the French Riviera this October, the 11th to the 13th, a 3-day weekend of connection, education, and relaxation. We're going to enjoy lots of talks on Ayurveda, yoga classes and Ayurvedic workshops, and we're going to hang out in this lovely medieval village which is just outside Nice, and Nice has the international airport, so it's really easy to access. If you're interested, please check out my website, elementshealingandwellbeing.com/retreat. So check it out. I would love to have you here and connect with you in person. It will be fantastic. So I hope you can join us. Okay, now let's get on with the show. Hey there, it's Colette, and you have just me today talking about the nutrition of the Dhatus. Well, what are the Dhatus? They're the tissues of our body. And so I want to talk about the process that happens from when we ingest something to the formation of all the tissues in our body. Now, it's a big process, and as with everything in Ayurveda, it can really go deep. However, today I want to kind of simplify the process so that you get the concept, for those of you who are new to it, get the concept of this process. And I feel it's very important for us to understand, and very important for us to understand that the food that we're putting into our mouth is becoming our cells and tissues. So that's what I'm going to talk about today. This is a look at the process, and it is a simplified version of the process. If you went on to study Ayurveda, it goes a lot deeper, and there's a lot more depth to it, but this will give you a good idea and overview of this process. So with that said, let's get started into this amazing and really interesting process of the body. So first of all, I want to start with a reminder that we know that everything in the natural universe is made up of the Pancha Mahabhutas, which are the 5 elements of space, air, fire, water, and earth. Now, we also know that these 5 elements go to forming the 3 doshas of Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. And these are the energies behind the functions of the body. And these 5 elements also form the Dhatus of the body, or the tissues of the body. Now, Dhatu translates to that which holds together, because the Dhatus, or tissues of our body, support our body. They give it shape. They hold it together. The doshas and the Dhatus need each other to function. So the doshas are the energy, the Vata, Pitta, and Kapha, serve their function through the mobilization of the Dhatus, the tissue matter. Now, we have discussed before that what we eat eventually becomes our body. Well, in fact, what we eat becomes our Dhatus, or tissues. Remember, Dhatu means tissues. And this is what we're going to really delve deep into today, the step-by-step nutrition system which nourishes the Dhatus from the grossest Dhatu, the grossest tissue in the body, to the most subtle Dhatu, or tissue. The Dhatus, or tissues, are made from the food we eat. And there are 7 Dhatus in the body. And the 7 tissues are Rasa, which is the plasma, Rakta, which is the blood, in particular the red blood cells, Mamsa, which is the muscle tissue, Meda, which is the fat tissue, Asthi, which is the bones, Majja, which is the bone marrow, and the reproductive tissue is the final, the seventh tissue, and that's broken down into the male reproductive tissue called sukra and the female called artava. And excuse my pronunciation of those Sanskrit words, they're with an Irish lilt there, I'm sure. So we're going to break down each one of these dhatus now. And I'm going to explain the nutrition system along the way and how it's a step-by-step process from the grossest. So from the first tissue, which is rasa, right down to the reproductive tissue, which is the most subtle dhatu or tissue. And I will also discuss what are the signs when you have excessive or deficient tissues, and of course, what's the sign of having good, ample tissues. So let's start from the very beginning. The formation of these 7 tissues starts with the food we consume, as I already mentioned. This food is digested in the stomach and the small intestine and the colon by Jatara Agni, which is our central digestive fire. That's our central Agni. And the food then is converted into ahara rasa. Ahara means food and rasa means juice. And so ahara rasa is the juice of our digested food, the essence of our food, which contains all the 5 elements, the Pancha Mahabhutas. And this is why Ayurveda focuses on digestion, as this is the beginning of the nourishment of all of our tissues. So our digestion is, like we said before, paramount to our overall health and paramount to the quality of our tissues. And if our digestion is not working correctly, well, then it will affect all the other tissues of the body. So now that we've digested our food and the central Agni or digestive fire has broken it down into the ahara rasa, which is the juice of our digested food, this process takes about 12 hours. And remember, it contains all the 5 elements. Now, this juice of this 5 elemental juice now begins a journey where it nourishes all the 7 tissues or dhatus of the body. This journey of nutrition takes place in stages of digestion by each of the successive 7 tissues. So each of the 7 tissues has its own Agni, has its own digestive fire to process the incoming nutrients from our digested food. And this produces the mature, fully formed tissue. And the byproduct also, which is called an upadhatu. So I'm going to take you through now each tissue and tell you what the upadhatus or the byproducts are as well. And again, this is a simplified version of the process so we can understand the general concept of it. And so really this process, it's like an irrigation system as it goes through all the tissues, with each tissue basically taking what it needs. So again, just a reminder that it all begins with ahara rasa juice that takes about 12 hours to be formed from ingestion of food. Ahara rasa now goes through this irrigation process where it's further refined or digested by each dhatu or tissue agni, by each of the tissue's digestive fire. And rasa dhatu is the first and most grossest tissue of the body. Now, rasa dhatu takes about 5 days to be formed from the ingestion of food. Rasa dhatu is circulated in the plasma, in the lymph, and the serum of the body. And rasa has its primary seat in the heart, and from there it permeates the whole body. Like I said, it's the biggest quantity of all the tissues in the body, circulating in the circulatory system and in our lymph. Its function is to nourish all the other tissues of the body by transporting nutrients, hormones, and this 5-element juice as well. I mentioned earlier that each dhatu has a byproduct, which is known as an upadhatu. And the upadhatus or byproducts of rasa are breast milk and menstrual fluid, and the top layer of our skin. So rasa dhatu also maintains the function of menstruation and lactation. Now, when a person has ample rasa dhatu, when they have a good quality first tissue, rasa dhatu, the person will have radiant skin, soft silky hair. They will be happy and joyful with a good memory and full of vitality. When the rasa dhatu is excessive, it can result in congestion in the lymph, and in the veins. It can result in repeated colds, in water retention, and edema. Now, when the Rasa Dhatu is deficient in a person, they may be tired, thin, pale, and anxious. And so that's Rasa Dhatu. Now we're moving on down the Dhatu nutrition process through the irrigation system. So Rasa Dhatu was formed, and now this Rasa Dhatu goes on its 5-day process of being digested and refined by the next Dhatu, which is called Rakta Dhatu. So Rakta Dhatu represents the red blood cells of the body. Rakta means red. Its primary function is to give life by transporting prana, that life force energy, to the cells and nourishing the more subtle dhatus, which are next in line in this nutrition system. The upadhatus, or the byproduct of Rakta Dhatu, are the small tendons and the blood vessels of the body. Now, Rakta Dhatu is the second dhatu or tissue in the body, so it's the second grossest, and it takes 10 days to be formed after the ingestion of food. When Rakta Dhatu is ample, when it's got a good quality, the person will have a healthy redness to their inner eyelids, their cheeks, their lips, their tongue, their nails, and the complexion. They'll have a healthy glow, and they will have great energy and a sharp intellect. When the Rakta Dhatu is excessive, when it's too much, it can result in an overproduction of the red blood cells. It can cause bleeding disorders, rashes, and skin irritations. When the Rakta Dhatu or tissue is deficient, it can result in anemia, shortness of breath on exertion, cold extremities, and a craving for iron, citrus, and hot and spicy foods. So you notice here that the cravings of citrus and hot and spicy foods are foods that promote the Pitta dosha. And the Rakta Dhatu is made up primarily of fire element, which is obviously similar to that of the Pitta dosha. Therefore, these Pitta aggravating foods, which will provide more of the fire element in the body, which then Rakta can take from the 5 elemental juice on this nutrition step to form more tissues, especially when it is deficient. That's why the person gets these cravings for iron, hot and spicy foods, and citrus. Isn't that so interesting? So the body makes us have these cravings so that we take in more of this fire element, these pitta-provoking foods, so that once this 5 elemental juice is formed and it goes through this nutrition step-by-step process, Rakta can go, great, there's the fire element I need to build up more of this tissue because we're deficient right now. I find that so fascinating. The body is so amazing. So let's continue on with our journey. So now Rakta Dhatu goes on its 5-day process to be refined into the next tissue, which is Mamsa Dhatu, or the muscle tissue. Now, this is 15 days after the ingestion of our food before Mamsa Dhatu is formed. Mamsa Dhatu represents the muscles of the body. Its primary function is plastering of the body, and the sites of Mamsa Dhatu are the muscle tissue and many organs of the body which are made from Mamsa Dhatu. It protects the vital organs and provides movement with contraction and extension. The byproducts, or upadhatus, of Mamsa Dhatu are the subcutaneous fat. So this is the fat that's under the skin. And then it's also the 6 deep layers of skin, except for the top layer, which we know was a byproduct of the first tissue, Rasa. So it's the deeper layers of skin that is the byproduct of Mamsa Dhatu. So when Mamsa Dhatu is ample, when it's good quality, the person will have a good muscle tone, good endurance, strong joints, good coordination, and have a loving temperament with lots of patience, be confident and intelligent. When excessive, it can result in growth in muscle tissue, myomas, which are benign tumors which are made up of muscle tissue, so you can see there's excessive muscle tissue now, fibromas, which are benign tumors of connective tissue, and also fibrocystic breasts and uterus. When deficient, so when the Mamsa Dhatu is lacking, it can result in a wasting of the muscle tissue, emaciation, fatigue, joint dislocation, just because there's a wasting away of the muscle tissue, and joint disorders, and a craving for meat. And the body here is craving meat so that it can get more elements in order to build up this Mamsa tissue. Okay, so now the Mamsa Dhatu now begins a further 5-day digestion process into Meda Dhatu, which is the next tissue in line, which is formed after 20 days from the ingestion of food. Meda Dhatu represents the adipose tissue or the fat tissue, which is found all over the body, under the skin, on our belly, in our breasts, around the joints, the heart, the kidneys. The function of Meda Dhatu is for muscle lubrication, bulk for the body, and insulation, and helping us to retain heat. The byproduct or Upadhatu are the ligaments, the flat muscles, and the joints. Now, when Meda Dhatu tissue is ample, the person will have a well-built body, a melodious voice, because the vocal cords are made up of fat tissue. Their skin, hair, eyes, lips, and teeth are healthy and strong. The person is forgiving, loving, and compassionate. When the Meda Dhatu is excessive, it can result in obesity, in joint pain, and a shortness of breath on exertion. Now, when Meda Dhatu is deficient, it can result in dry skin, cracking joints, arthritis, osteoporosis, and pain in the lower lumbar region as well. Okay, so that was Meda Dhatu. Now that Meda Dhatu is nourished, the resulting 5 elemental juice goes on its journey in another 5 days to be digested and refined into Asthi Dhatu. Therefore, now it's 25 days from the ingestion of food until the next Dhatu, Asthi Dhatu, is formed. So Asthi Dhatu represents the bones, and it's the hardest Dhatu in the body. The function, of course, for the bones is for support, protection, and for movement in the body. The Upadhatus, or the byproducts of this Asthi tissue, are the teeth and cartilage. Now, when Asthi Dhatu is ample, the person will have strong bones and joints. They will have strong nails, healthy teeth and hair, and be hardworking, energetic, with great strength and stamina. When Asthi Dhatu is excessive, it can result in bone spurs, osteomas, which is where a piece of bone is growing on top of another bone, calcification, which is calcium buildup, spinal misalignment, a shortened height, and possibly bone fusion. And then when Asthi Dhatu, or this tissue, is deficient, it can result in hair loss, weakness, rough, dry, and brittle nails, osteoporosis, really a lot of massive bone loss and fractures. So that's Asthi Dhatu, and now you know the deal. So Asthi Dhatu now has taken its nutrients that it needs from this 5 elemental juice from our food, and now it continues on another 5-day process of conversion into Majja Dhatu. So Majja Dhatu is formed 30 days after the ingestion of food. Now Majja Dhatu represents the bone marrow, the cerebrospinal fluid, the brain, and the nervous tissue. The function of Majja Dhatu is the nervous response to stimulation. It's filling the spaces of the bones and the brain of the body. The Upadhatu, or byproduct of Majja Dhatu, are the lacrimal secretions, or tears. When Majja Dhatu is ample, the memory is good, the intellect is sharp, the eyes are attractive, and the person is intelligent and has a good comprehension of life. When the Majja Dhatu is excessive, too much, it can result in a pinealoma, which is a tumor on the pineal gland, tumors of the endocrine system, and also a heaviness to the eyes. When Majja Dhatu is deficient, it can result in anemia, arthritis, insomnia, neurological problems like MS, Parkinson's, and Alzheimer's. And that was Majja Dhatu. And now we're on to the final part of the Dhatu nutrition system, which takes a further 5 days. And in total, it's 35 days since the ingestion of food to produce the most subtle tissue, which is the reproductive tissue. Sukra Dhatu is the male tissue, and Artava Dhatu is the female tissue. So the function, of course, is procreation and libido. It is the most subtle of the Dhatus, and it's considered the most refined and most intelligent of all the Dhatus. So the food has gone through each of the irrigation systems of the step-by-step process of nutrition. All the other tissues above have taken what they need. And now we have this really refined 5 elemental juice. And this is what forms the female and male reproductive tissue. When sukra is ample in men, it results in a magnetism, a good energy, attractive eyes, teeth, voice, and there will be a glow about them, so that inner glow. When sukra tissue is excessive in men, it can result in a preoccupation with sex, excessive secretions, but decreased sperm count, and premature ejaculation. When sukra tissue is deficient in men, it can result in a low sperm count, impotency, erectile dysfunction, and pain with intercourse. Now, when Artava tissue is ample in women, there will also be a magnetism, attractive eyes, teeth, voice, well-developed body, regular healthy menstrual cycle, and again, a woman will have a glow as well, that inner glow from within, that really magnetic energy. When Artava tissue is excessive in women, it can result in a heavy menstrual flow and symptoms of estrogen dominance. Now, when Artava tissue is deficient in women, it can result in scanty or no periods, late periods, or early menopause. So it takes 35 days from the ingestion of food to form the final and most subtle tissue, the reproductive tissues. The end result of all this system of nutrition through the tissues or the dhatus is Ojas. Now, Ojas is considered to be the essence of all the dhatus. This 5 elemental juice that was formed from our ingested food that went through this whole irrigation process where each of the dhatus, the tissues, took what they needed and it went through a refinement all the way through the body, down through this step-by-step process of this irrigation system being refined and being digested by each of the tissues. And now the final result is this Ojas. And I have talked about Ojas and did a whole podcast on its own on Ojas as well previously. But Ojas is the primary energy reserve of the body. It's our immunity, protecting our life. It gives us strength and vitality. It controls the heartbeat. It regulates the sense organs and the organs of actions, and maintains the balance of all the dhatus. Now, a small amount of Ojas pervades the body, and it said in Ayurveda that there are 8 drops of Ojas in the heart at birth, and any decrease in this Ojas in the heart will result in death. So we can see through this process that the grosser dhatus or tissues nourish the subtler tissues, but the subtler tissues also protect the grosser tissues. So it said that Ojas maintains the balance of all the dhatus, even though it's the most subtle. The Agni of each dhatu must be strong in order to maintain the proper functioning of the tissues. If one dhatu's Agni is not functioning properly, it will gradually affect the others. Disorders of the dhatus are a result of the entry of a dosha, right, a vata, pitta, or kapha into a dhatu or tissue. And I have discussed this process in detail in episode number 64, which is the 6 stages of disease. So the problem arises when our vata, pitta, or kapha becomes aggravated and then enters into a tissue and then disrupts the functioning of that tissue. This is where problems start occurring in the body. So if you haven't already listened to that episode 64, 6 stages of disease, I highly recommend you do, because that's really interesting information from Ayurveda. So the takeaway from this episode today is that what we put in our mouth becomes our tissues, and therefore, if we want to have a vital and healthy quality of life with great health and strong tissues, we need to take responsibility for what we're ingesting. And of course, how we're eating. So it's not only what we're eating, but how we're eating. Are we eating in a stressful environment, at our computer, in our car, watching the news? It's not only necessary to be aware of our food, but also our experiences daily, what we're taking in through our senses. So all this is very important to our health. Now, if you feel that you have issues in your tissues, in your dhatus, then I recommend you take steps to cleanse and rejuvenate the body. If we just take supplements to boost the body without getting rid of the root of the problem, without getting rid of the aggravated doshas or the toxin or ama buildup via cleansing, then we're not getting to the heart of the issue. We're just covering it up. Cleansing out the toxins first is necessary, and then making sure that the cleanse includes a rejuvenation process as it does with Ayurveda. And rejuvenation means improving and boosting all your tissues, from the grossest Rasa tissue to the most subtle reproductive tissues. The strength and vitality of all the other tissues depends on the first tissue of Rasa. The first step of rejuvenation in Ayurveda is to rejuvenate Rasa, and then that filters down through this nutrition system I just discussed to rejuvenate all the other tissues. So there you go. That is the Dhatu nutrition system. And like I said, it's a simplified version. If you're studying Ayurveda, it goes into a lot more depth. But I think this gives you a general concept of how this nutrition process happens and an idea of how this food forms the tissues in our body, and how the grosser tissues not only nourish the most subtle tissues, but also that the most subtle tissues nourish the more gross tissues. So it really is a holistic system in the body. Now, if you're interested in learning more, please contact me on info@elementshealingandwellbeing.com, or check out my services where I offer online consultations, tailored cleanses, which incorporate that rejuvenation we were talking about. I have my daily habits course, which is really important to make sure on a day-to-day basis we have a good foundation of self-care practices. And I also have the upcoming retreat, the Ayurveda and Yoga retreat on the French Riviera this October, the 11th to the 13th. And you can check that out on elementshealingandwellbeing.com/retreat for all the details and to register. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you find that this episode may help some others in your life, please share. And I appreciate your support. Please contact me if any questions. You know that we have the Elements of Ayurveda podcast Facebook group. You can pose questions there as well, and we can share and support each other over there. Thank you. Take good care of yourself. Be well, and I hope to connect with you soon. Ciao for now.